I'm proud to say I picked Usman by decision. I can't say that I was predicting him to look that solidly vintage, but I was still impressed by the performance. Honestly, like, his last fight was against Chimaev at 185, and he put on a very solid performance. Like, I was thinking this while I was watching that fight, and we'll get into the fight breakdown in a second, but I mean, his last fight was not unimpressive. He stood there toe to toe with a huge guy at 185. Obviously, he's fought at 70 before, but I mean, Chimaev is challenging for the title next, and he stood there and banged with him for 3 rounds, and in a fight that a lot of people thought if it had gone 5 rounds, Usman would have won. So this is all to say, I feel like Usman was a little bit disrespected by us included leading into it. He did talk about the disrespect. I have a little clip from the post-fight interview here.
To work and get up in here, and especially going up against a guy like myself with all the experience. Thank you to him for, bringing everything that he brought. I know it's a running joke. Everybody want to get on the internet and talk. Oh, his knees. Well, shut the up. I can still do what I do.
It's hard for me to predict a guy like that to go on some crazy title run, especially considering the welterweight division is probably as strong as it's been since before he was champion. He really was the last dominant champion in this division. Let's just look at the top 5 before we try to match these guys up next. Obviously, JDM number 1 or the champion, Belal number 1 contender, Sean Brady, Shavkat, Leon, Kamaru was 5. He beat the number 7, so you probably think that he's not going to move up. Before the fight, I called for if he didn't retire, which obviously he's not going to retire, a fight with Belal Muhammad. He did call for the winner of JDM versus Islam after the fight, which I think it'll be a great fight. I do think there's a lot of contenders that are ahead of Usman at this point in his career. I know he's a former champion, but Shavkat still needs to get that shot. Sean Brady has had too many good wins to get ignored, so I wouldn't mind a Belal versus Usman fight. That could be, if not, maybe not a number 1 contender fight for Belal, but definitely for Usman, I could definitely see that. And yeah, he did call for the leap up to 185. He's calling for a lot at this point in his career. I'm not saying he can't do it. I would say if anybody can do it, it's Usman. He, has been a champion before. He's beat some of the best guys in the history of the division and the sport. But I think he should slow down, take another fight probably before the year's over, maybe against Belal, and then we'll see what's next. What do you think? What do you think should be next for Usman here?
If you're Usman, you have to choose between one or the other. I think it's more plausible for Usman to win at 170, most likely. I think a jump up to 185, especially at this point, would be a bit difficult. But I guess it's just you weigh your options. Is it more significant for Usman's legacy to be a double champ, or is it to be the guy that comes back and wins the welterweight belt at 38 years old? Just because of his age, I feel like it's only plausible to go after one. If he's really active and he has 2 fights in the next 6 months, very possible. But comparing it to how much time it took for him to transition back to 170 after going up to 185 that first time, I just find it hard to do. I think it'll really come down to timing, because the primary issue is that you have 3 guys that could very easily say that they deserve a title shot right now, and we're forgetting the main thing here, that Islam Makhachev is moving in to 170. Yeah. That complicates things a lot. Not only does that make it more difficult for Usman, it also holds up the 3 other guys in front of Kamaru Usman that are also vying for the belt. So if we assume that somehow, some way, JDM and Islam fight within the next 3 months, I don't think that's very likely. I think they're probably going to be a little bit longer than that. Even then, that would be at least another 3 or 4 months until the next contender of that fight could face the winner of that fight.
Yeah.
So I think it just complicates things. If I'm Kamaru, I would like to try and get a fight on the same card as JDM versus Islam.
Yeah.
And whether that be against Belal, whether that be against someone else, regardless, I think that's probably the best option, just so it can line up the timing. We've seen situations where fights that we thought were going to be contender fights just don't work out because the timing is just so much mismatched. Look at how Kamaru Usman versus Khamzat Chimaev worked out. That fight that was listed as by Dana himself as this is the 185 determining fight. That fight's just now happening in August, and that was almost 2 years ago.
Yeah, everything you're saying I agree with, because I think there's actually in my head, I'm looking at the welterweight rankings right now, and if I was matchmakers and I was trying to match it up in the honestly, a lot of times it is about timing. Sean Brady and Shavkat could both get injured at the same time, and then Kamaru Usman, you know what I mean? Like, random stuff happens all the time in the UFC. So that could play in Usman's favor, is that a lot of these guys are pretty inactive. But, I think perfect world, obviously we have JDM, Islam. I think Belal, Kamaru would be great later this year. Sean Brady, Shavkat. I think Sean Brady, Shavkat has to be for the number one contender fight. And then, a fight I would really like to see would be Leon Edwards versus Ian Gary. I think that could be a really fun way for Ian Gary to get back in there. But, as far as Usman's, I don't really see a scenario where if it is a merit-based system that he gets back to the title. Because let's say Sean Brady Shavkat fight, and then honestly that's a coin flip. But let's say Shavkat wins, then he gets a title shot, like you said, after JDM versus Islam. And then maybe you could say Usman gets a title shot, but that won't be until... imagine Islam wins. He's not the very most active champion. You know what I mean? Like, Ramadan comes. It could be later next year, and Usman could be 39, almost 40 by then. Like, what did Tony Ferguson call it? Dana White privilege? Unless he gets some of that thrown his way, I don't really see a scenario where he gets the title shot before next year. And that's not even a hit on him. Like, he looked great in his last fight. It just is unfortunately a really top-heavy division where there's a lot of contenders that, all deserve title shots, but it's just a held-up division where, and also Islam's moving up. So it's just a hard time to be Kamaru Usman right now.
I would argue that it would probably be easier for Kamaru Usman to make a case for the 185 belt right now than it is for the 170 belt.
Yeah. Because
say Khamzat goes out there and like does Strikers. Everyone's going to look and be like, who's the one person that's actually given Khamzat Chimaev trouble in a fight? You also have Gilbert Burns, but... Because, this is like the pieces that need to happen. Like, the best case scenario is that JDM and Islam fight, like, early, like November. And the best case scenario is JDM wins, because if it's Islam's going to wait it out. Yeah. And then also the fight to make there is Shavkat, because both really good title, like really good records.
But also, what if Islam then moved back down and fought like Topuria? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this crazy stuff happens if Islam wins there.
Regardless of who wins there, then you have Ian Gary, Sean Brady. The winner of that could be making a case. You have Shavkat coming back. That can make a case. You have whatever the hell Belal's going to do. I don't think he's going to be able to make a case. But there's like 3 tiers of contenders above Kamaru. And not to say that Kamaru could not give anyone within this list trouble. It's just a tough scenario, and it's really unfortunate because any other time than aside from like this era of like welterweight, you could probably argue that Kamaru would have made his case already for a title contention. But and honestly, in a way, it's a good thing because it really just shows how much the welterweight division has progressed in the last 2 years. Because I remember when we were talking about Leon versus Kamaru, and that was kind of just the epitome of that division at the time. But it's really cool to see how much it's progressed.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is episode 30 of the Fighters Forecast. I'm Henry.
I'm Drew.
And we are out.